tag your friends. Everybody wants to make sure that the relationship goes well. So I'm here to make sure I help. Okay. All right. So it's always a good idea to talk about trying new stuff first. Many people are embarrassed when it comes to, you know, talking about sex. You should not be embarrassed. You should be able to, open up and talk about it because it will help both of you to feel comfortable when you do engage in sex so that it doesn't become a major turn off for both people. And I say this is sad because if you don't know what turns me on and I don't know what turns you on as a man, and we just go into it. It's like going onto a dark road that we have without any flashlight. That's how I see it. I mean, if you're gonna be, looking to get pleasure from the person that you're going to be going intimate with, you definitely want to know exactly what they like. And you also want to tell them because nobody is an expert when it comes to sex to the point that they know everything. Everybody's body is different. So if you don't talk about it, then it's not good for your sex life. If you can talk about what you like, what you don't like, what are some of the things that make you angry, include sex in that situation too. Don't be scared. But most of the time, is people only talk about sex when they are apart, when they are in long distance relationship. Most people talk about sex when they're in long distance relationship because that's all they can do when they cannot come together. But if you guys are in the same place of domicile, you should definitely talk about it. You should talk about it. Talk about sex. Talk about what you like, what you don't like, what turns you on, what doesn't turn you on, and all those things. And then before you know, you'll be okay. Like a friend of mine gave me a very exciting story I want to share with you guys. I don't know. I didn't have my show last week. Yeah. Very exciting story she gave me. Maybe I said it on my other show, but I was saying on this show. She said most of the time when she's having sex, she couldn't come vaginally. She couldn't do like the penetration where she comes. She could only do it another way, like a fingering when the guy finger her, and touch her breast and stuff like that. And then that's when she could come. All the people she been going on with in her odd years never made her come through penetration. She met this really, really nice guy and they started talking and stuff like that. And, she told him, like, for me, I don't come through penetration, I come this way. But he never tried the way that she told him that, told him about, she just said, he just didn't say anything, the talking, doing stuff. And then one of the times that they went to go and, have sex, since she said that her breast and, and fingering makes her come, he decided to use penetration and play with her breast. And lo and behold, sister said she came. And they coming were not for children. So at the end of the day, if they hadn't talked about it, if he wasn't well versed with certain things, definitely he wasn't going to, go in that route. But he kind of like knew what he wanted to do. He understood what she was saying because they had a conversation. Have a conversation. Do not fight away from having that conversation. Have the conversation. Tell the person what your likes and desires are. Tell them what makes you come, what your weak point, like bro, we say what your weak point and stuff like that. Say all these things to your partner so your partner can be able to arouse you and pleasure you, and you can be able to do the same for your partner. All right. Continue to share the video, okay? All right. Let me shout out to some people. Shout out to Jerome Roberts, Jerome Roberts. Shout out to Williette Asmont. Welcome to the show. Patrick Kennedy, you are welcome to the show. Shout out to you. Siliki Kamara, you're welcome to the show. Mas Dapu. Masa, how are you, Mama? Welcome to the show. Abby Bender, welcome to the show. I got my bosses here, Dennis Ja, and I have Hannah Snotty. Snotto? Snotto? Thank you, Mama. Welcome to the show. And I got Alex Freeman. So you guys are welcome. Adolpha Zaw, please. Welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you on. Our veterans. You guys are welcome to focus on Liberia sex and relationship talk with your girl, Lady J. All right. Science book. I see my brother here too. From all the way from Fargo, he's here. Welcome to the show, brother. All right. So the first thing we talk about is vaginal sex. So when it comes to vaginal sex carry a high risk for both partners for mostly sexually transmitted infections. We know that. So when a man has sex with a woman, vaginally, you guys can have sexually transmitted diseases. I would like to go into some of those sexually transmitted diseases that vaginal sex can give. We all need to be cognizant of these things because at the end of the day, these are things that take place in real life. So we're going to go into some sexually transmitted diseases that happens when you do vaginal. Okay? All right. And some of the STDs that you can receive from vaginal are as follows. Chlamydia, and this is a very common STD caused by a bacterial infection. Often doesn't have symptoms and easier to treat once it's diagnosed. This is the easiest one, chlamydia. So if you have chlamydia, go to the doctor, they will give you something very, very easy. No problem. Move to the next one. Genital rats. This one, there's a growth on the genital area and around the anus. So you find this growth around your genital area and your butthole. And it's caused by a certain type of HPV. Then we have the next one that a lot of Liberians know. Gonorrhea is a common STD caused by a bacterial infection. Often doesn't have symptoms. It's easy to treat once it's diagnosed. Okay. Then we're moving on to hepatitis B. Hepatitis B is a virus that can cause liver disease, which is spread through sex or sharing personal hygiene items like razors and toothbrushes. The next one we are looking at is herpes. It's a common STD that infects your mouth area and your genitals and causes blisters, sores. There is no cure, but symptoms are treatable. So when you get herpes, then you're on your own. Then we have the almighty HIV and AIDS. AIDS is an infection that breaks down your immune system and can lead to AIDS. There is no cure for it, but treatment can help you stay healthy. Next thing, HPV, human papillomavirus. So human papillomavirus, a super common STD, which they just cut it short to say HPV, is usually harmless and goes away by itself, but some type can lead to cancer. That's HPV. And this papillomavirus is a very, very, very bad virus that, as I say, you can contact it during sex, but this virus can also lead to cancer. So you want to make sure that you take that into account. Next thing, molluscum contagious. Molluscum contagiosum. This is an infection that causes small bumps on your skin, and it goes away by itself, but it's usually dangerous. And you can also get it through having sex in the vaginal without condom. The next thing, this one y'all will know about it because that's something that used to happen to a lot of people when they were younger. Public lice, aka crabs. These are little small little parasites that attach themselves to the skin hair near your genitals. And they also, it's easy to get rid of with treatment. And you can go to the drugstore and it will give you something for your public, for your lice that's on your pubic hair. And once you put it on your pubic hair area, men and women, the lice, the crabs will go away. Then we got scabies. Scabies are tiny parasites that cause itching. So usually when you get scabies, you just see all the little areas there. You just itch and you have to scratch it. And sometimes if you're like, fair in complexion, that place becomes swollen red because you're scratching it, and it passed through the skin. It's passed on from skin to skin contact, usually when you're having sex. And this one, you can cure it. You can cure scabies, okay? We go to syphilis. Syphilis is a common bacterial infection. It's usually cured with medicine, but it can be dangerous if you don't treat it. So if you don't treat syphilis, you might kind of like die from it because it can be very dangerous. And this thing takes me back into history when they did this Tuskegee, when psychologists decided to call the Black community into this research they were doing, and they lied to them and said that they were treating them for syphilis, but actually they were treating them as guinea pigs some years ago. And that's when a law was passed in regards to the psychological field, that any research being done, you have to be honest with the people that you're doing the research with. And if they say they want to pull out at any time, they can pull out. And you have to make sure that, whatever it is that you are telling them, you're going to go by it. This is when ethics and everything came in. So syphilis is something that is well known, in the Black community. And this particular sickness is what made the Black community not trust the hospital for a very long time in America because of that Tuskegee, situation that took place. Then, last but not the least, is thrush, and this is a major cause that happens to a person's vagina, and it can be commonly treated and easily treated. It's common and easily treated. So those are the things. Those are the different STDs that you can get from having sex, unprotected sex. So going back to the topic, I just want us to go over the sexually transmitted infections and diseases so people can know. So vaginal sex carry a higher risk for both partners for mostly sexually transmitted infections that I just went over. And want to know how to have safe vaginal sex? Good stuff. So I'm going to tell you guys now. So what is vaginal sex? Vaginal sex can be described when the penis enters the vagina and is rubbing against the area of the vagina entrance. Women rub their vaginas together. I'm going to go over that. Please continue to share the video and invite your friends. Vaginal sex is when a penis enters the vagina, is rubbing against the area around the vagina entrance. So that's the second thing, or women rubbing their vaginas together. So those are the three things when you say vaginal sex. Either the penis entering the vagina, or the penis rubbing around the vaginal entrance, or two women rubbing their vaginas together. That is seen as vaginal sex. What are some of the risks for vaginal sex? We already went over it. And another thing is you can get pregnant too when you have vaginal sex. That's a risk. Why is vaginal sex a high risk activity? And the bacteria, viruses, and parasites that causes most STIs, which is sexually transmitted infections, may be present in the vaginal fluid of the woman who has an STI. So in other infections, the bacteria or virus may be present on the skin around the vagina. If the sexual partner has an STI, which we all remember is a sexually transmitted infection, it can enter the bloodstream easily if semen or vaginal fluids from the person with the STI gets inside the vagina. The skin inside the vagina and around the head of the penis is very delicate. That means that infection can easily pass between male and female during unprotected vaginal sex. The risk increases during longer sex sessions as the skin of the vagina or penis may become damaged. That's when you do it. The woman puts it out here or inside it, and maybe the man got maybe the hair on her pussy too has on her on her has like cut around his penis area, and when that happens, the risk can increase. So when you get any of these sexually transmitted infections, please, please, please go and see a doctor. When you get any of these sexually transmitted infections that I went over through unprotected vaginal sex, please kindly go see a doctor so that they can be able to take care of it for you, okay? So one may ask the question, how can I reduce the risk of vaginal sex? So if you want to reduce the risk of vaginal sex, you have to always, Liberian people, always, I reiterate, always use condom when sex is between a man and a woman. Always use condom. Use a lot of condom safe lubricants. Always use a dental dam or cut up condom to kiss or lick someone's vagina. That's why it's so funny. I'm just going to go to the next one. Change condom before switching to oral or anal sex. Use a fresh condom if sharing sex toys. Wash hands thoroughly before touching the face of genital. And get checked for STI before you have sex. So these are the things that you can do to prevent from risks and to reduce the risks of vaginal sex. All right. Another question. I enjoying it here, Bob. I know you're enjoying it. Especially that one like women, and what are like women that don't like to put on condoms. So yeah, please be putting on some little condom, I beg you. And so next thing, what are the safer sex alternatives to vaginal sex? So there are plenty of ways to have safer sex. And one of the ways that you can use to have safer sex is oral sex with a condom. They say oral sex with a condom or dental dam and masturbations are all less risky. So let's go into oral sex because some people might want to know what oral sex is. Oral sex is a medium risk activity for most sexually transmitted infections. And you want to know why? Okay, so oral sex is a medium risk activity for most sexually transmitted infection. And oral sex is when sex is done by the mouth. So oral sex is when the mouth is used to stimulate someone's genitals, such as licking, sucking, or kissing. That is oral sex, okay? So if you want to know what oral sex is and you don't know, that's it. What are the risks from oral sex? Most sexually transmitted infections can be passed on through unprotected sex. And we went over some of the unprotected sex that we went over gonorrhea, genital herpes, genital rat, chlamydia, syphilis, um, unprotected oral sex with a man or woman. Those are the first ones that I just mentioned. Through the risks of lower, HIV can also be passed from a man during oral sex if his semen enters the bloodstream. Another one, this can happen if there are small cuts or sores in the mouth of the person giving him oral sex. So if you're a woman and you have HIV and you got little cuts in your mouth and you're giving your man oral sex, definitely he can get HIV as well. If a woman's vaginal fluid can also contain the HIV virus and can pass into the bloodstream through the cuts of her mouth. So that is another thing. How can I reduce the risk of oral sex? So when it comes to that, how can one use condoms with their husbands or wives? I'll answer your question for you, Lester. I'll answer. That's a great question. I'll come back to it. Okay. How can I reduce the risk from oral sex? The risks from oral sex can be reduced if you always use a fresh condom or dental dam. So they're saying that you can use a dental dam. A dental dam is just something that you can put around your lips that makes sure that your lips does not come in contact with the actual genital that you are stimulating by sucking, kissing, or licking. Okay, so you can always use a fresh condom or genital dam. You can change the dental dam or condom if in use for a long time. You can maintain good oral hygiene to prevent bleeding gum and sores, but don't clean your teeth immediately before, as this also causes bleeding. Refrain from oral sex if there is any signs of infection, or refrain from oral sex if the person giving it has any cuts or sores in their mouth area. Okay, so we got 5 more minutes and I'll be ending on here so that we could ask questions and go over some other things. What are the safer sex alternatives to oral sex? There are plenty of ways to have safer sex. So you can do the sexting and online sex using toys with condoms and masturbation. They are less risky. You can do anal sex. Anal sex does carries a high risk for both partners, but most sexually transmitted infections, anal sex, it's good that you want to do anal sex. Is good that you want to do it, but make sure that you use protection as you're doing it. So one may ask, what is anal sex? And to answer that question, anal sex is when a penis or sex toys is inserted in the anus. So if you take a sex toy or you take a person's penis and you put it in the anus, in someone's anus, and that's anal sex right there, because it's normal vaginal, so it's going in that area. Okay, so why is anal sex a high risk activity? Well, anal sex is a high risk activity because bacteria and viruses from an infected partner can easily enter the bloodstream during sex. So this is because the inside of the anus, which we usually call the butthole, is very thin. So infections can pass through it easily. Being the receiver of the anal sex carries the greatest danger of the infection. Though it is still very risky for both partners, but the person who is receiving it, they have a greater risk. Although using a condom can reduce these risks, if it breaks, it's easy for any infection to pass between sexual partners. Okay, please continue to share the video and invite your friends. What are the risks for anal sex? Many sexual infections, including HIV, gonorrhea, syphilis, hepatitis B and C, chlamydia, can be present in the semen inside the anus. Herpes, sores, and genital rats can also form inside the anus where they might not be noticed. So if this happens, if you feel anything in your anus that does not seem right, you might have a sexual transmitted disease if you've been using your anus for sex. You might want to go to the clinic to see your doctor based on that. Because the anus is not well lubricated, because the anus doesn't produce its own lubricant like the way the vagina does. Usually the vagina, always, if you have a very good coochie, ladies, your vagina will always create lubricant. If not, most people put the little oil and everything there. But the anus is not like that. It does not lubricate, it does not produce anything in there. So the skin can break at any time during sex. And once the skin breaks, and the infected semen can go directly into the person who's receiving it, the bloodstream. And that delicate skin around the head of the penis can also break during sex, which can also lead to infection from the anus into that person's bloodstream. That is why for anal sex, it is important to use a lot of water-based lubricant as well as condoms. So we are at 10:30, people. It's time to answer questions. It's time for you to post your questions here for me to answer. And the first question that I have here is from Levester Philip Jill. Why would one want to use condom with their husband or wives, except in the case of people having sexual affairs? So this is not specific in regards to like how do I say it? Married people or whatever it is. This is a broad topic that is for everybody. So I wasn't saying husband and wives should use it, but if you are in the relationship where you feel your partner is not being faithful, then you definitely want to use it because it will be less risky for you health-wise. So this is not to a husband and a wife, it's for everybody that engage in sex. Most husband and wives do not use these things for sex because they are husband and wives and they go flesh to flesh. But in the event that you might feel your partner is stepping out on you, then it will be great for you to make sure that you use the condoms and the necessary things that will help prevent an exchange of fluids or blood that can cause the sexually transmitted diseases. If you want to call in, the number to call in is 605-313-6004. Again, that number is 605-313-6004, and the code is 791-403, 791-403. So I'm open for questions, and it doesn't necessarily have to be on what we discuss. If you have a relationship question, I'll be here to answer your questions for you. If you're just joining, this is your girl, Lady J, on Focus on Liberia. And today is the 17th of April, 2020. We are still in the coronavirus era, and we are doing everything that we can to live normally. So please invite your friends, share the video. Life must go on as we continue to go through the situation, the worldwide situation. So please invite your friends and share the video. And at the end of the day, we will go from there. So, Mr. Jerome Roberts, what do you mean you're not getting me? What do you mean? Huh? Oh, okay. That was a long time ago. So any questions, people? Any questions that you might have? If not, I'm just going to continue. And if questions pop up, I will answer those questions. So let's go on. How can I reduce the risk? Okay, we already did that. And we did the alternative for safer anal sex. The next thing when it comes to sex is masturbation. And masturbation is a medium risk activities for most sexually transmitted diseases when practiced between partners. That is mutual masturbation. But it is a no-risk activity if you do it alone. So if two partners practice masturbation, where the woman sit on one side of the room, the man sit on one side of the room, they play with a set. That one, the risk is not too high, it's a medium risk. But if you do it by yourself, no risk at all. No risk at all. Want to know how to reduce this? Let's see. What is masturbation? Masturbation means using your hands to stimulate your genitals or partner's genitals. So that when you sit there, you put your hand on your breast, you put your hand between your legs, and you start to do whatever you got to do yourself. That is masturbation. Many people masturbate on their own. I don't. It's good. It's a good way to find out what you do and don't like, where you would like to be touched. For me, I like to be touched by another person. I like to do no masturbation, but everybody in there, it's everybody in what floats their boat. Okay. Partners can masturbate each other in turns at the same time, or masturbate themselves while the other person watch. So a partner can masturbate themselves while another person watch and stuff like that. As I say, not for me. Well, as I say, Jay, how do we get most Liberians to be more involved into sex education? This is a great question. I'll go in piece by piece. It's a really great question. Thank you for asking, Amasa. Most Liberians say they're open-minded, but they are not. And in this day and age, we want to sweep these kind of topics under the rug and keep on moving because it's too touchy or it's too embarrassing. But we are there and we are making the same mistakes over and over and over again. So how do we get most Liberians? Is what I'm doing right now. I am on this platform and I'm discussing sex and relationships because we want to make sure that Liberians start to become comfortable in sex education. Because what you don't know does not prevent you from getting sick. I'm going to say this again. What you don't know does not prevent you from getting sick. If you're going to get sick, you will get sick. Out of ignorance or no ignorance, you will get sick. So it's better for us to talk about it now. Some people might feel very uncomfortable to call in to ask questions, and that's okay. That is the reason why we're doing it, because these are baby steps that we're taking. And bravo to Focus on Liberia for, bringing me on to be able to discuss these things, because I discuss it on my own platform, but I didn't really have a structure like the way I have a structure now to be able to talk about it like the way I'm talking about it. And I'm happy that this opportunity has been given to me, because when I'm done watching this, when I'm done presenting the show, I go and watch it myself to be able to get some information from it based on what I have discussed. And I'm not just sitting here and taking things from out of my head to discuss. There is something here that I have to follow in regards to the information I'm presenting. So these information are not just things I'm saying to you guys. They are information that's written there that people have put down, put their thoughts into, people who have done research about, and coming out with these things for the public to know. As we all know, that exhaled intercourse is one of the major sickness, major means through which sickness are spread. How do we motivate our society to engage in the hard reality or truth? Again, the things you just said, they are kind of like just correlating one back in the other. We want to continue to talk about this, because when we talk about it, it's going to help us remove this elephant from the room. As I said, you'd be surprised, they got some big men, they're mature and everything, but they don't know anything about sex. They don't know how to please a woman. They don't know how to do anything. When it comes to foreplay, they don't even know what foreplay is. I've been with people who just want to tickle their trousers and just put the penis right in a woman. And I'm like, that's not how it works. You have to stimulate me so that I can be able to get to a place to be able to want you. You can't just come and just put your things inside me like that. So a lot of people don't know, because if they knew they will know that this is how it needs to be done. So these are the topics that people run away from, but they don't know these things. And it's better for you to want to listen to these things so that you can know. Because once a guy do that to me 1, 2 times, I'm sorry, you gone. And I was telling one of my friends the other day, I said, some of the things that I read a man for, you meet with a man and you're talking, you're going through your, relationship. And if this person got issues, I would bear with them if the sex is great. But if the sex is not great, I'm sorry, you get bad ways, you gotta go. Especially if during that time frame that we're together, you made me come, you made nothing happen for me to be excited about. You just come, you do poop, 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 you just be my poop, and then you run away and stuff like that, and then you come and then you go, and I don't feel no pleasure. I'm not going to be taking your mess. You do it the first, second time, simple mistake, you out. Because what am I getting out of this situation? I'm not getting anything out of the situation. There is no mutual, there's no mutual like benefits here. So why am I there taking the mess? But the person taking care, doing what it's supposed to do, the right thing. When they do funny thing, I just be like, okay, you know what happened? We can talk about this thing and stuff like that. So that's kind of just what it is. Most Liberian men are not ready because they don't know. And that's why some of the relationships don't work, because they don't know what they want to do. They come into the bedroom oblivious to what they need to do. They just come there and they just want to take out that and just put it inside you. And when you want to talk, they say, oh, no. You're not coming, can't be hurting me like that. I need that as a process here. And we'll go by that process. If you want to go by that process there, then that's fine. And most of the people that can do that thing, they don't have no sexual discipline. As soon as they enter you, they're going to come. And that's it. And sometimes when they come, they're not going again. They can't get out again. So it's just, we need to learn about these things. Because when we learn about these things, we have a better idea of how to navigate into it. We think sex is just whatever, but it's sex that can keep a relationship together, or it can break a relationship. And whether you know or not, sex can keep a relationship together or break a relationship. Many marriages have crumbled because the sex wasn't good. The man either wasn't good or the woman wasn't good. So when we come, we see the elephant in the room, we're going to have to address the elephant in the room. And that's what we're doing right now. So great question, Maza. Thank you. Jerome Roberts, what can you do? You have sex, but your wife, you love sex, but your wife and girlfriend don't. Yeah? Mr. Rawa, you in trouble, Baba. You love sex, but your wife and your girlfriend don't. Let me drink on that one for you. You got the other question here. It's a trick question. You're making me pour all my wine in my glass now to address the question. What do you do if your partner don't like sex and you like sex? So if your partner don't like sex and you like sex, either you get to that place of being tolerant and you discipline your sexual desires. That's the first one. Or you find ways and means to do what you got to do. And now one part you have to advise yourself, because I don't know how to advise anyone. So either you change your sexual desire. If you were at 100, you bring it down to 50 to meet up with a woman who do not like it. Or you advise yourself, because I ain't work today, you advise on the other one. I hope I was able to answer your question, Mr. Rabos. Let's see what the next thing. And my business said they don't love your money. Yeah, I tell you, so no more question. I'm going back to my when you're coming to the class here, two things I want you to bring. I want you to come in your pajamas, and I want you to bring your pencil, your paper, copybook, because we need to learn some things then and carry it. Every week you come to the class here, you're supposed to be getting better in the way you are sexually active with your partner. If any one of your partner call me and tell me, say, Lady J, my husband not changed, or my wife ain't changed, and they be in your class, I'm going to fail you this year. Because you're supposed to be able to start to change the way you see things and the way you do things after going through all this process, okay? Please continue to share the video and invite your friends. All right, so what are the risks for masturbation? Masturbation alone is normal and common, and there is no risk of catching sexually transmitted infection despite rumors. It won't send you blind or give you spots either. Some people masturbate while watching porn, which is very, very, it's a lot. It happens a lot. If you do this, make sure that you are assessing, make sure that what you are assessing is legal. And remember, porn isn't real. And you shouldn't expect real sex to be like the things you see in the film. I want to go over there one year. Got a lot of people be thinking that the porn thing and a real thing. So what the people are saying here, they're saying that a lot of people can put on porn to masturbate. And if you're doing it, make sure that the porn that you're watching is you're doing it through a legal means. Because when they catch you, it can be against the law. Whichever country you're in, there are some countries that got laws against that. And porn is not real. It's not real at all. So when you see it there, I see the man putting it on pum. Don't think say when you get it, the real deal, it's going to be the way you see it inside it. It can be sometimes. They got different camera thing and I can make it thing all kind of way and stuff like that. You know that when you see food, a good person a good camera person that takes picture of food, make sure that the colors of the food come out, because you can't see it with your real eyes, and make sure the color of the food come out so that when you see it, it can be inviting to your eyes, and the same way the porn can be. Porn has to be looking real. It has to be inviting to you for you to want to continue watching. That thing can be very addictive too. So let me see the next question. Okay, there's not a question, it's a comment. And Lofter say he needs to be more creative to stop doing the same old mess. Mr. Jeru, I want to use the photo talking to you. So, like it. Dominic Twazama. So Dominic Twazama says, since most of our Liberian sisters learn the CNA lesson, they can do a whole lot of things. The excuses just don't have limits or excuses. So Dominic said most of the CNA nurses or most of the CNA people there can maybe making excuses, they tired and stuff like that. So y'all please don't make excuses. Yeah, beg your CNA people. Y'all try to, when you go home, bathe and try to get yourself to your husband or your boyfriend. Okay, no excuses. Masa said for some men, it increased the expectation of reality. That camera, yep. For men, they do, because they see those big, those women that went and do the surgery. But any woman that's going to do porn, most of the time, they make sure that she goes and do her surgery so her figure she can be a sex appeal. So once she take off her clothes, that you see that one and stuff, and then they expect for everybody to be like that. And that's not how it can be. But anyways, this is just what it is. CNA lesson is like CNA is like people that go and learn how to take care of people that live in a nursing home and a group home. What else? Is it possible to become addicted to masturbation, as I was trying to say? Yes, it is possible. So if you feel like you're losing control while watching porn or while you're masturbating, or it's interfering with your life, it's causing injury to your genital, then you need to stop it. So some people can masturbate till they cut all on the nunu and the toto. If you are doing this and you start to lose control, please stop it. If you're doing it every day, then it has become an addiction. You need to cut it down. If you're finding it hard to stop, you have to go and see someone in the hospital that's going to help you. If you masturbate, if you masturbate your partner, there's a risk that any virus or bacteria on your hands can be passed to your partner, especially if they have dirty hands or fingernails or touch their own genitals. So you don't need to touch your own genitals for this to happen. Many infections can get into the body easily through the mouth or the eyes or through cuts, sores, or areas of damaged skin. The longer masturbation goes on, the greater the risk of the skin around the genitals to be damaged. So let's say it's supposed to go on for maybe 5 minutes, and you go on for 30 minutes. That place is going to be very tender, and it can start to break at any time or get damaged. That makes it easier for infection to enter your bloodstream through masturbation. Okay? So how do you reduce the risk of masturbation? Any questions? You guys have questions? If you have questions, put a question there. I'll be able to answer, okay? The risk of catching an STD through mutual masturbation can be reduced if both parties, 1, use a condom or female condom. 2, be careful not to spill any semen or vaginal fluids. 3, use plenty of condom-friendly lubrication. 4, avoid touching the eye, the mouth, the nose, or any broken skin. It is very, very, very important to make sure that you wash your hands carefully with soap before touching your genitals. Wash your eyes. If you've been masturbating your partner or touching your partner genitals, mouth or eyes, if you've been masturbating yourself, both partners should wash thoroughly after masturbation to clean up any spillage. I know that, but just curious, okay, no problem, I understand. What are the safest sex alternatives to masturbation? So, safer sex alternative will be sexting or online sex. And there's no physical contact when you're sexting or you're doing an online sex. It's called cyber sex or virtual sex or phone sex. And these are no risk of having a sexually transmitted disease passing from one partner to another. However, there are other risks from sexting, online sex, that you should know, okay, if you're thinking about doing it. And these are, what is sexting and online sex? Let's go into that first. Sexting and online sex means that you use phone calls, text messages, internet chat rooms, email, instant messaging, online video chats such as Skype or FaceTime to exchange sex chats with one another. With a person, or maybe you send like an explicit picture, sexual picture or video. It can be a regular sex partner, or it can be someone you just met online. It can involve taking or flirting on partners, or, people can masturbate as well when they're doing that. Some people only use text and will take pictures or video of themselves using web cameras. And the key to good sexting or online sex actually is communication and imagination. It's all about painting picture in the other person's mind and responding in a sexy way to the things you send or they send to you. All right. So what is the risk of texting and online sex? Although there are no risk of sexually transmitted infectious diseases, there are other risks that is involved with sexting and online sex. Someone can record your conversation or make your sexy chat and pictures or video public. We know about those things. A lot of times, we got people putting people picture online, people sex video online. They might post your picture publicly online or share them with other people, such as their mates or strangers for money. So if someone distributes your images without your consent, this is wrong. If someone distributes your images, your sexual images, without your consent, this is wrong. It is sometimes known as revenge porn. So let me throw in Lester Philip Jolo says, let me throw in an advice while we are on this topic. Always urinate before and after sex. Always. Okay, we'll be keeping smart people there. Nice. You'll continue to share the video and invite your friends, people. Revenge porn doesn't have to be from an ex-partner. If anyone passes on your images without your permission, even your current partner, this is a form of abuse. If someone does this to you, it is not your fault. Although, unfortunately, it could be difficult to regain your images. If your images do get into the wrong hands, this could be highly embarrassing and could impact your job, your other relationships. It could also lead to cyberbullying or someone trying to blackmail you. Risks of sexting someone you don't know. So if you are sexting or having an online sex with someone other than your regular partner, it could change your feelings towards them. You may feel guilty. The emotion involved in sexting and online sex are just as real with any kind of sex. If your partner finds out, they could feel hurt and betrayed. Someone you meet online for no-tie sessions could track you down in the real world. It is hard to judge character over the internet. They could turn out to be nasty or not be who you thought they were or who they portray themselves to be. So there is nothing illegal about sexting or online sex between two consenting adults. However, if you need to be careful that the person at the other end is legally old enough to engage in sexual activities. I remember there was a picture on Facebook passing around. This older Black lady had this very terrible look on her face because she had been sexting with a 14-year-old. And I think that woman she was in her 40s. I'm like, lady, how did you not know that you were sexting with a little boy? She not show all her thing into the little boy. I guess her breast, everything, and I think he was showing some lala pictures and that he got from on the internet too, or from his uncle or wherever it is that he got it from, he was showing to her. And she just thought that was him. So she sent all her this and that, her breast, or whatever it is that she could send. She sent it. And I'm looking at these kind of things, I was like, what wrong with the woman here? Why would she do these kind of things to herself? So please, when you guys are doing this sexting or online sex, please make sure that it's someone who is a consenting adult and not late child. Because when a late child, it can be legally wrong. You can be persecuted for that. The person have to be legally old enough to engage in sexual activities with you. And in America here, that old enough means the person needs to be 18 and above. 18 and above. If you have sexual images sent to you or of someone under 18, you could be classified as having a relationship with a child, which in America law is child pornography. And if you send them If you send them on, then you could be guilty of distributing child pornography. These are serious offenses, and you could end up in prison or on sex offender register. Hmm? I hope we're listening, because at the end of the day, sometimes we do our own things. Then when the things that happen, we say, oh, why did thing happen? It happened because of the way we carry ourselves. These are very, very important things for people to know, because nowadays that's how people meet. People meet online. You don't know who you're talking to. You don't know if it's a child. Make sure before you start your sexual escapades online, that person is not under 16, or they are 18 and above. Make sure, because if it happens to be anything less than that, you'll be a sex offender. You'll be on the sex offender and register. That means anywhere you move, you have to go and register yourself as a sex offender, whether you're a man or a woman. And that is something that will follow your image for the rest of your life. So that's pretty much all we have for today. If you're just joining, I want to say thanks to my listening audience for joining and watching the show. Thanks to the people that asked the questions. Thanks to the comments that were made. I'm here every Friday night, unless something comes up. I'm here every Friday night to talk about sex and relationship. It's important that our community continue to engage in such topics so that we can be aware of what is going on or how things are. Because most of the time, we are not aware of these things. And when we are not aware, when you get in trouble, it does not take away your ignorance or you knowing or not knowing. So let's continue to join the show every Friday around 10 o'clock Minnesota time, 11 o'clock, no, 9 o'clock Minnesota time, 10 o'clock Philadelphia time, Eastern Standard Time, so that we can be able to continue talking about these things. Again, you are watching Focus on Liberia, and this is your girl, Lady J, signing off.